Tying up a Carrie Stevens streamer today. This is called the Rapid River. It is a very handsome fly with the green and gray wings in it, and it has an interesting two-toned throat on it, as well as a Golden Pheasant Crest in the throat. I'm assuming that this is named after the Rapid River. Don't know much about the fly, but it's an interesting pattern to tie. So I'll get started. I'm going to start the Rapid River with my hook in the vise. This is a this is a Patridge CS15 in a size 4. Typical Carrie Stevens, that's what the CS stands for. Streamer hook, it's a 10x long streamer hook, so if you want, you can get one that's a 9x or even an 8x if you want something a little bit shorter. I'm going to debarb the hook. I'm going to attach my thread to begin with. I'm going to use a Danville. This is a 210 denier in white. Because we have an orange floss body, I'm going to lay down a base of white so that it doesn't end up darkening up that orange floss. Attach this about an eye length behind the eye of the hook. And then I'm going to wrap down the hook shank, putting a nice base layer of thread down here, all the way down to about a quarter of an inch or so from the point of the hook, maybe about 3/4 down the hook shank. With my thread about 3/4 down the hook shank, I'm going to go ahead and cut this tag off. This is where I'm going to attach the tag and the rib. There is no tail on the Rapid River, so I can use, it's a silver tinsel. I'm using a Danville size 10 Mylar silver and gold tinsel. I can use this for the the tag, as well as the rib on this. So I'm going to tie this in here, gold side up. I'm going to keep wrapping down the hook shank to just past the point of the hook. You don't have to do this if you want. You could wrap down the hook shank with the tinsel and then back up to have like a double layer of tinsel in the tag. That's up to you. Where I tied that in, I'm going to stop and tie in the body. The body is an orange floss. I'm using a Danville 4-strand Rayon in orange. I'm going to tie this in so that it is about halfway up the body. Doesn't have to be, this is going to be a fishing fly, so I'm not as concerned about having this all smooth the full length of the body. But it'll be nice and secure, and it'll still give me a nice smooth underbody for the fly. Now I'm going to put a little wax on my thread, just give me a little bit better grip, and I'm going to wrap nice touching turns all the way up to the end of the body, and then I can apply the floss for the body and the tinsel for the tag as well as the rib. So with the body in, the tag, and the ribbed in, I'm going to advance my white thread forward. Now I'm going to change over to my orange thread. I'm using a Uni 8/0 in orange. The head for this is a black head with an orange band. I prefer to use orange as the under portion of the head because if I put the orange on top of the black, it really darkens up the orange. By doing it this way, I end up with a little bit brighter band of orange on the head of the fly. That's just my preference. I think traditionally, Carrie Stevens did it the other way around with the black thread and then came back and put the colored band in, but this is the way I prefer to do it. So with my orange thread in, I'm going to tie in the throat. The throat on the Rapid River is bright green hackle and then pink hackle, and then on top of that, a Golden Pheasant Crest. For the bright green, I'm using a fluorescent chartreuse. It's the only bright green that I have. I think what they mean is that sometimes you can pick up the Kelly green or a regular green is kind of a darker green, but sometimes you can find a lighter green that's not quite as light as the chartreuse, but this is what I'm using. I'm going to tie this in 3 clumps. Now I prefer to tie these in where I'm tying in the green first and then the pink on top. It's really up to you. If you want to, you can tie these in with the green and then a pink and then a green and then the pink. I'm going to tie these in so that I've got one on the bottom, one on each side. When I say side, I basically mean that they are kind of on the bottom, but towards that side there, because the whole purpose of it is to kind of cover some things up as you move forward in tying in the wing. But my preference, like I said, is to tie in all of the green hackle and then on top of that tie in the pink. The one thing you have to be careful of is you want a resulting throat that has a certain density of hackle fibers. Well, you have to split it up. So you have to think in terms of if you're used to just doing one color, I would have twice as much in here. But because I have 3 colors, I have to be careful and make certain that I'm only putting in half the amount for the green and then half for the pink so that I still end up with the same density of barbs in here for the throat and it doesn't end up being overwhelming. There's no underbelly of bucktail or anything on this, and the wing does not have any peacock curl in it. We go straight from the throat here into just tying in the wing. So the last bit for the throat is some Golden Pheasant Crest. Now I'm not using a real long feather, I'm using just a shorter feather. I don't mind if it sticks out just a little bit beyond the throat. So I'm going to tie this in at the base of this feather, 2-3 wraps, getting it more or less in position where I want it, like that. And then if I can do it with my hands, great. If not, I'll grab my tweezers here and I'll grab the end of this And I'm just going to pull it to the right. I find that this works a lot better than trying to tie it in the appropriate length. This will collect the fibers, the shorter barbs on the sides. It helps to keep that right on the very bottom. I'm going to put a few more wraps in to secure that. I certainly don't want that twisting or moving on me. And I'll cut away the excess. Now I have a nice throat with just a little bit of Golden Pheasant Crest in it. Using my orange thread, I'm going to come up to behind the eye here. Will end up being the end of the head, and just clean all this up. And all I'm doing is smoothing this out a little bit and having a nice platform for tying in the wings. The wings are pretty simple on this. It is the Rapid River just has two bright green hackles, and then either flanked by a medium dun hackle, and then a gray mallard shoulder and a cheek of jungle cock. Now I'm using, they say bright green. The fluorescent that I had was just a little too bright for me. So this is a green. It's not a Kelly green, but it is just a nice, solid kind of middle range green color. There's the dun hackle on the outside, the mallard flank for the shoulder, and a cheek of jungle cock. I'm going to match those wings up. I want to make certain that the bases are even, and if that's the case, then hopefully my tips are going to be even. If the tips are off a little bit, I would rather slide those together so that at least the green tips, as you can see here, are pretty close to being even. I'll cut away the excess, the rachis, which will end up giving me just a little bit of a handle to tie that in with. Tying the one on my side first, I want to just make certain that the feather is laying nice and lateral with the body and the hook shank, I should say. Tie that in, make certain it's nice and on the side, it hasn't twisted. A few more wraps to anchor that in very well. Now I'll tie the other one in. Place the other one on the other side. For me, I like to make certain that the tips are nice and even. I'll wrap that in, securing it, and then make certain that I have it in correct. Once you do a few of these, it becomes easier and easier to put these in. And more often than not, my wings come in nice and perpendicular to the hook shank, flat and together, and they look really, really good. At least I think they look really, really good. They turn out the way I want them, let's put it that way. So now with everything in place, I take my orange thread and I'll tidy all of this up, covering up any butt ends, any other materials sticking out with a nice base layer of orange thread. Once I have all that covered up very well, keep in mind also back in the day when Carrie Stevens was tying these, they were using silks and things to tie these off with, to tie the whole fly and the head and everything else. So a lot of times the heads were a little bulkier simply because to get all the wraps in to secure it, cover everything up, the silk that they used was heavier. I'm going to put in about a 7 or 8 turn whip finish, and this is just to secure that orange thread. And then I'll change over to my black thread to put in a black band in the rear portion of the head and one in the front portion. For black, I'm using a Danville 6/0 in black, 70 denier. I'm going to attach my thread in the rear portion of that black band. Being careful to not wrap too far forward. The other thing is you don't want to bulk this up, so you want to kind of be more purposeful with your wraps. You're not trying to secure this in, you're trying to just put in a nice band here of black. So slow down a little bit, make certain you're getting things covered up, and we're not putting so many wraps in that we're developing a bit of a bulge in the back. With that black rear band done, same thing, I'll put in about a 4-turn whip finish here. Right on that band. Trim away my thread. And now I'll reattach in the front portion and do the same thing right behind the eye of the hook. Generally, I like to, I don't know, I have not read yet whether there is a formula for just how wide she did these bands. I generally just divide the head up into thirds. I think some of that probably is an aesthetically pleasing thing. If you want a little bit wider color in the head, you can. Again, I want to make certain I'm getting any orange thread under there covered up. And then once I have that in place, I can go ahead and, in this case, I'm going to flatten my thread, and I'm just going to do a whip, 5 or 6 turn whip finish right here at the head of the fly, right behind the eye of the hook. You could, if you want to, and I've done this on some other flies, you can flatten your thread as you go, and you can try to get a little bit flatter head to this fly, something a little smoother. This is going to get a couple coats of clear lacquer. That's more for reinforcement and protection than it is to, dress it up, but it will smooth it out and dress it up just a little bit. So with the head done, I'm going to put this is some fly tight head cement all on those threads. That's going to soak down in there. That will set up and that will secure all those thread wraps. And again, we're going to come back with some black lacquer here and put that in to help reinforce that a little bit so that our fly stays together just a little bit longer. So that is the Rapid River. Interesting fly, pretty basic wing and everything. The throat's a little bit different than what a lot of her patterns are, with the 2 different tones and the pheasant crest in there. But I think it turned out pretty darn good. Interesting colors. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.